Carl. So this is all the tech that you'll need for your travel adventures. I actually just got back from a personal trip, was in New Zealand for my honeymoon the last 2.5 to 3 weeks. And before that was in Vegas for CES. So I've literally been living out of a suitcase for the past month. Let's go through all of the cool tech stuff that you'll need. The first one is the actual pack or the luggage, since I went team carry-on for all these trips. So this is the DB luggage, I guess like their suitcase. The specific line is the Ramverk Pro, and the Pro version essentially just has the strip of aluminum, and it's slightly larger than their full polycarbonate one. I've traveled with both, and I do like the Pro version just because of that aluminum. It gives it a bit more robustness, but I've traveled with all of these packs kind of around the world over the past year, and these are kind of like my go-to for luggage. They're super smooth. You can see the wheels on them are great. They're super sturdy. They've been dinged up, they've been scratched up as luggage does, but they are honestly the perfect little combo. And inside they do have a great little system for organizing your tech. So on both sides I usually have one for, of course, clothes, and the other side is where I tend to keep all of the rest of my tech stuff. To make sure that I know that I've got my bag, I just have some luggage tags, obviously some bits of orange, just to identify that this is mine. And the thing that I actually love about this, it comes with this DB, I guess, like strip here, which gives it a bit of an option for other little packs. And from them as well, I have this little day pack where I keep my essentials like my passport, like my cables, all the little bits that tend to kind of float around live within this. And the cool thing, like I mentioned, it has that little clip system. So on the back, you can see I've got these little purple tabs. They're essentially these quick little release plates. And when you're not using the pack and you want to kind of add on to the storage system, you can kind of clip these onto what I'll say is their rail system. And from there, this now becomes its own piece of luggage, and you can kind of detach this as you see fit. I usually carry this around when I'm at the airport on its own, and then when I'm ready to kind of check into the plane, I just kind of clip this to here, and I can store that in the overhead, and I don't need to be carrying this around separately. So super, super dope. Like, I kind of swear by DB Journey. I have their backpacks, I have their luggage, I have their little accessories, and they're just so seamless how they all kind of work together. And like I said, because I travel all the time, they kind of stand the test of time. Even with how rough I am on my gear, they still hold up perfectly. So that is, I guess, technically the gear that carries all of the tech. So to the actual main pieces, so right here I've got my 14-inch MacBook Pro with the M3 Max chip. It's kind of like the powerhouse, and I've gone kind of back and forth between the 16-inch, which is my M2 Max. Officially, from traveling the entire year with this, I can say that the 14-inch is just so much better to bring around when you travel. That extra small form factor makes it so much easier to stick into a backpack, into some luggage, and the overall footprint is a lot nicer. So I do have it in, I guess, the space black, which is their new colorway. I won't lie, it's a bit of a fingerprint magnet. You can see how kind of smudgy it is, but on the bottom, just to kind of give it an extra bit of protection, I do have a Dbrand skin. This is the like the Jerry Rig Everything kind of X-ray see-through skin, just to keep it a bit protected from the scratches. I like work from coffee tables. I kind of throw this around. Once again, when you're traveling, you're not always the most careful with your tech gear, and just something to give it some extra protection from picking up too many scratches. But this thing has kind of edited all my vids for the past year while I'm on the go. I crunched through my CES content with this, and obviously when I was in New Zealand, I was trying not to work. I was kind of successful. This is kind of the computer that I used to edit some of the photos that I took and catch up on a couple emails when I had an extra little bit of downtime. So that is kind of component one. All of the stuff that I shot was actually done on this little guy. So this was my kind of upgrade at the end of last year. This is the Sony A7CR. I love how small and compact this is. Usually when I travel, say for work, creating YouTube videos, creating all this content, I do bring my Sony A7 S3s. You can actually see here the overall size difference between the two models. Obviously the lenses are different, but when I am traveling not for professional work or for creating actual content, I like to just have something small, compact. I can fit in my day pack. I can kind of sling around my shoulder, and it just doesn't kind of weigh me down. This is why this is so handy. I love the overall size. Like, I'm just rocking the 18mm Batis, so I brought this to the Shire, to Hobbiton when I was on all my hikes, which I did walk a ton when I was in New Zealand, just having something smaller. And it actually has the same sensor as the Sony a7R5, which is actually this model. So 61 megapixel beast of a sensor. It's full frame, it works with all my Sony lenses, and I absolutely love the compactness. I can't kind of say that enough. But all of that was actually stored on one of my new upgrades. So this is the new Lexar Professional SD, or their portable SSD. It's their SL600 and it has 2 terabytes of storage. It's 2000 megabits, both read and write speeds. And once again, when you buy a laptop, usually choosing the lowest storage option is my choice, and just upgrading little small hard drives usually tends to be my recommended spec for most people. This thing is super quick. I can shoot, edit in 4K right off of this hard drive. It's small enough that I can fit into my pack. And like I said, it has 2 terabytes of space, and I kind of swear by Lexar stuff. I've gone through several SSDs from them as well. I just put little stickers on them to make sure that I know that they're mine, and as my projects kind of build up, I kind of store them on here. Once they fill up, I tend to hold on to things for like 6 months to a year, and then I move on to a new hard drive. So this, like I said, is their newest. It's super quick. It's their latest model, and I cannot recommend these enough when you are shooting so much content. For example, when I was at CES, some of the footage was 500 gigs for a single video. You want to back all of those up on something secure. So this is a solid upgrade, great for traveling and great for productivity. Like I mentioned, I did a tiny bit of work on our first layover in Auckland in our hotel before we flew to Queenstown. I was able to go hands-on with the S24 Ultra, the entire S24 lineup right before I left, so I just did a bit of editing. For voice, I actually used the DJI mics. It's actually the first time that I've used these. I know that V2s, or I guess their Gen 2s, have just come out as well. These are, once again, great for good quality audio. When you're on the move, you can kind of just talk through the microphone, and the voice pickup is just so much better from what's coming inside of the camera. You just kind of stick the little receiver on the bottom of this, plug that in with a little cable, and then you can just use the microphone to kind of talk, and obviously you know what the video and voice quality kind of sounds like. So I'll leave a little clip of that recording that I shot. So I have a little bit of downtime right now. I'm actually on my honeymoon. I'm lucky enough to be able to work. Everything was kind of shot, edited, and then stored onto my hard drive as a backup within a couple hours. When I was on the flight the next day, I was able to crunch through everything and obviously not waste time working while I was enjoying my honeymoon. So that obviously is the main, I guess, like working tech component of it, but also I used the camera a lot when I was just enjoying myself personally. Like I said, used it when I went to the Shire, took some of the greatest photos in Hobbiton that I'll always have. For the most part though, I was just shooting a lot of content with my smartphone. So obviously the iPhone 15 Pro Max is kind of my daily driver. iPhone video is just so silky, so smooth. I created this little highlight reel for Kat and I, more so as like a reminder of how good of a time that we had. It is so tough to beat just short form video content when you just want something in your pocket. Like I said, the reel is probably playing through here. It is just so easy to use, and the video quality is just so good. I did have a couple phones to compare this to. Like I said, I didn't really want to work too much on the trip, but on deck is the OnePlus 12 as well as the S24 Ultra, which was awaiting me when I got back here to the studio. Let me know which devices of these you kind of want to see first reviewed. I think I'm going to be switching to the S24 Ultra for the next couple months, just because I like to give it some in-depth testing, and this is probably one of the more touted flagships of the year. Interesting to see how they'll compare. I am a big fan of the flat display, I will say quickly, and obviously the new titanium build and all the new AI stuff kind of built in. So those two are currently on deck. You can obviously bring these when you travel. To charge all my devices, I just brought this Nomad 130 watt charger, so I really tried to keep it minimal and wanted to only bring one specific charger. So this guy is the big beefy one. It's 130 watts. Like I mentioned, there's 3 different USB-C ports. So from there, I have one long cable to obviously charge my laptop. I have one USB-C cable for extra peripherals and one for lightning. And a lot of you will ask, the iPhone obviously uses USB-C now, but there was one piece of tech which is right off to the side that I still use it for lightning. So these are the AirPods Pro Max, or the AirPods Max. They're in this super dope custom colorway from Colorware. So many people ask me questions about these. Obviously, Apple only comes out with their aluminum colors. These were custom painted. This isn't a sticker. You can actually see on the inside, probably, actually the paint job is just so good, and I'm really surprised how well the paint has held up, because I've had these for a couple years and I bring them on every single one of my flights. The paint has held up great. They haven't chipped. They're still pretty much like brand new. If there's anything that I would probably replace, it's probably the ear cups, just because I've used them a lot. I have the God-given ability to sleep on planes. It's like my superhero power. All I need to do is stick my headphones on, stick like a Harry Potter audiobook, and it's lights out for me when I fly. Apple will probably release their Gen 2s of these this year, and we'll probably just see an update from Lightning to USB-C, which means I no longer need to carry a Lightning cable anymore. So speaking of another piece of tech, as I was pointing out to the cables, I noticed on my fingers, so I don't typically carry or wear, I was gonna say, a smartwatch. I typically just have a mechanical watch. I rock my Gold Speedy as my wristwatch of choice, and that's why I like to wear these little smart activity rings, just to give me access to obviously things like heart rate. I was able to track steps, and you can see that entire 2 weeks, I probably walked more there than I will the entire year. A lot of sweet hikes that I did. It does link to Apple Health, which is nice, and then you can just view all of that via your smartphone, and it also helps track your sleep. It's been really interesting to see how poorly I've been recovering from the jet lag. So New Zealand is like 16 hours ahead. Getting back into the swing of things has been a little bit tough, and obviously this thing tells me how poorly I've been sleeping. One thing that I forgot to mention, because we headed to New Zealand, they have different plugs, obviously different voltage, so I just picked these up. I think they were like $5 to $10. They're super simple. You can actually just plug in your main adapter, which I like to plug into the top to keep some of the bottom ones free. They have USB-A, USB-C, and obviously an extra little port. So I just was able to travel with one of these adapters, and since I had this handy Nomad thing, I was able to charge all my devices usually at one time when I was at my Airbnb or at a hotel. Pretty vital. Never forget little travel adapters. Another little piece of tech that I brought is this sweet little Bluetooth speaker. It's the Marshall Willin, and it's so handy because you can stick this into your backpack, into your suitcase. I typically have this in my golf bag, but just bumping some music when we went to the beach, when we were doing a couple hikes. New Zealand is like completely empty, so there aren't too many people around, and just listening to some music. The sound quality from this is just better than what comes out of your phone, and it isn't too big, and it won't take up too much room in your pack, and it's just ultra lightweight, and once again, still rugged. It's been to the beach, it's been wet, it has an IP rating, and it's pretty solid. And last but not least, there was a piece of tech that I regretted bringing, since it just stayed in my suitcase the entire time. So because we were going to New Zealand, I want to take some really cool drone footage, so I did bring my little Mini 3 Pro, and honestly the big reason why I didn't end up using it, New Zealand actually has a lot of no drone fly zones because there's so many low flying planes for tours and stuff. I didn't want to be that tourist that broke the law and was that annoying person with their drone or sneaking it out. I just didn't want to take that risk. So unfortunately, no actual drone footage. It's probably the thing that I regret bringing. Sometimes I'm just so focused on capturing content that I kind of fail to live in the moment, but this time I can say that I did keep this in the pack. This probably could have stayed at home, to be honest, but on more professional stuff, more content creation wise, I would probably bring this for some sweet footage, but I lived in the moment. You can't kind of blame me for that one. And last but not least, I'm showcasing a piece of tech that never gets love on the channel, but it's something that always comes in my suitcase. This is a portable travel steamer. It's from Conair, it's from Amazon. It was like one of the cheaper ones that I got, but what makes this great, it actually has a 2-in-1 voltage function. So obviously in New Zealand, they use 240 volts. You can actually just switch that. Same thing when you're traveling to Europe, you can just switch the little toggle, and then when I'm back here in North America, in Canada, I can hand that over to 120. I kind of swear by steaming clothes. I wish every hotel came with a steamer. They don't, unfortunately. It works better than an iron, and it's something that makes you the biggest MVP if you're traveling with your girl, your wife, whoever it may be. If you just want to have steamed fresh, unwrinkled clothes. When you're living out of a suitcase, you're probably re-wearing the same thing a couple times. Just having a little steamer gives extra life to all of the clothes that you wear. So cannot swear by this enough. And honestly, that has been the last piece of tech. Probably the thing that is the most important when you travel is your passport. So do not forget that. I just have it in this little passport holder with my Nexus card, a couple Visa debit cards, which I have to spend at some point in time. But this is probably your biggest essential thing, that and then your ticket for your plane. So I do fly Air Canada. For some reason, I didn't have any delays on my honeymoon. If you followed my channel over the past year, you know that I've had probably the most delayed flights in 2023. Even my flight to CES at the beginning of the year was delayed. So I thought I would kick off the new year with a new set of flights. No delays. That didn't happen, but on my honeymoon, for some reason, I didn't have one delay. So clearly I just need to start traveling on my honeymoon all the time. That was kind of my tech travel pack for the beginning of 2024. Hopefully some of the tech was useful. I will leave everything linked down below. Just getting back into the swing of things, like I mentioned. So if there's anything that you want to see, let me know, and I'll catch the rest of you in one of my next episodes. Peace.